Hello, and welcome back to In Between Sessions, the podcast where we talk about the many ways you can support your mental health between therapy sessions. I'm your host, Lili. I'm a therapist in Kansas City, and I love any excuse to talk about mental health. Today, I'm joined by Madoka Koguchi, a Japanese actor, singer, dancer, and community builder currently based in Kansas City. After graduating from the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York, Madoka joined the national tour of Miss Saigon. When the COVID-19 pandemic paused her performing career, she moved to Kansas City and became part of the founding team of Cafe Cafe, Kansas City's first Vietnamese coffee shop focused on culture and community. More recently, Madoka co-founded Yukari KC, a nonprofit creating intentional spaces for people with Japanese heritage to connect, celebrate culture, and foster community. In our conversation, Madoka and I talk about identity, representation, and finding belonging, both on stage and off. We explore how creativity can be a lifeline during periods of transition, how community care can be a form of healing, and how Madoka has learned to navigate life in between cultures, careers, and expectations. This conversation is full of warmth, vulnerability, and the kind of honesty that might just shift how you think about your own story and community. So without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, Madoka Koguchi.
Hi.
What have you been doing in between sessions?
I do so many different things, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that a little later. But the first big thing I'm doing right now is that my nonprofit organization is hosting the second annual Japanese Summer Festival in Kansas City in August 31st in Merriam. So we are in the crunch time for planning, promoting, everything. So me, my other co-founder of the organization, our board members and volunteers, we are all, we are planning. We are in the planning phase. So that's what's keeping me busy in a really good way. I also started another job. That is exciting as well. So that are the most two big things that are happening. And I love being busy.
I can relate. I'm a fellow busy person, but do you feel the same inner tension of when is it too much and how much am I feeling this pressure to stay busy because of hustle culture, but also I really love this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally understand. So there's so many reasons why I like being busy, and also at the same time struggle with okay, am I overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Because you don't really want to be overwhelmed. I feel like I'm overwhelmed when I'm okay, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one single big signal that I feel okay, this is a sign that I am doing a little too much.
Yeah, when the joy is kind of sucked out of it. And I think we can both maybe relate on this, that it helps when the things that you're busy with feel grounded in your values and the things that matter to you. It's when I'm busy in things that I either don't care about or that are in conflict with my values, that's when the burnout sets in. And when it's, and even sometimes when it is things I genuinely care about, I think that's the hardest part, is when you genuinely care, but you still have to recognize that it's too much. I like what you said about losing the joy or losing the fun as kind of a warning sign. Yeah. I'm curious for you how you set that boundary when those warning signs show up.
Mm-hmm. So it is usually coming from me, about me. I set expectations on myself that I want to achieve. And it's almost 99% of times, it's not about anybody else. It's not about the projects that I'm doing. It's about me. Yeah. So the beauty of nonprofit is that nonprofit organizations, nobody owns an organization.
Sure. Yeah.
I may be a co-founder of the organization that I will be talking about, and I might be the executive director of the organization that I founded. But if our board members vote and then like, I don't want Madoka, then like I'm out.
Yeah.
But in a different way, like on the flip side, we do work completely collectively. Nobody just decided, okay, I want to do this idea. I want to execute this idea. No, every single decisions have to be made by the board members and us as well. So when I'm like overwhelmed, it's like, okay, I said I will do it. But the beauty of it is like, okay, I feel like I'm at the capacity right now, and I might not be able to do the work that I said I will do as fast as it is supposed to be to make things go smoothly. Would you be able to do the task that I was going to be doing? But as soon as I'm ready to, take over the task, I can do that kind of things. So it's like, it's a collaborate work. And it is supposed to be that way. So it's like really sustainable. So that's what I love about, working for a nonprofit as well. Yeah. So I can just pass it. I feel like everybody's entitled to delegate tasks to each other, of course. Yes. But that by being a nonprofit, it's like that boundary is already set. So yes. That feels a little easier. Yeah. And then when I don't, work for a nonprofit and I feel like, oh, I'm a little overwhelmed, I do tell them, like, it's like I apologize that I said I will do certain things, but I don't think I am able to meet the expectation or keep the boundary, that kind of things. The timing is really interesting because I had to do that at my new job earlier today.
Yeah? How did that go?
It went well. They understood. Sometimes, a lot of times, we have to accept the fact that you don't know what you exactly sign up for when you say yes or no. Yeah. And what I thought that I had signed up for was not something, was actually the thing, that the tasks, that the job that I said yes to. So I was like, at first, when I just began my work, I was like, you know what? It's okay that it's different. But I would communicate with them about that. And then as long as they're okay with changing things so that the job itself becomes something that I thought I would be doing. Yeah. They gave me a go of, changing things. It's like, okay, if you want to work from home, you could do that. But I need to do this to be able to accomplish that kind of things. It's just an example. Yeah. So when expectations don't meet, the boundaries are not blur, you always have to express that. You always have to communicate that. It's the boundary setting is so hard for me, but once it's set, it's just for long term, it saves your life. It really does save your life. So communication is something that I am learning to do, but also I am fortunate enough that I had people around me who I work with were understanding of my needs and this is what I can do, but this is what I am not able to do at the moment, or I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah, which is a big difference.
Yes.
Between what I could do and what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And, coming from, I'm also a theater actor, and coming from this background where you would audition left to right, going for the opportunities, you are kind of programmed to say yes to any opportunities.
Yes, like quite literally, they tell us that all the time.
Yeah, and you're programmed to go a little over than what you are capable of doing 8 shows a week. Mm-hmm. Maybe I want to impress, I could do this, like I can kick my face like so many times in a row, whatever. But can I do it 8 shows a week for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months, maybe a year, 2 years? Yeah. Sometimes no. But we are so programmed to like showcase ourselves to the level where we are not comfortably, able to do. Yes. So that's a boundary setting that we have to do to ourselves, but it's hard to do it. It's if I'm capable of doing it right now at this moment, okay, great, I can do it.
Right.
I can do it for 10 years. I
Right.
could say that, but do I? Am I able to? Sometimes no.
Yeah.
But communication is the key. Really, really, really communication.
Yeah. There's so much in what you said that I love. I kept thinking about the idea of, being transparent in that communication surrounding the idea that like, I know that I committed to this and I said yes to this, but it's either not what I expected it to be, or the reality is I ultimately don't have the bandwidth. I think that requires so much humility to be able to say that. But also at the same time, because we're talking about boundaries, and I loved what you said about boundaries as kind of an investment that you make, and then you get to live off of that dividend, it pays back for forever. So it's like this humility, but also this confidence that's required that by saying this, by setting this boundary, by being honest about my bandwidth, yes, it requires humility, but it also shows confidence that, I can admit when maybe I made a mistake, I can ask for help. And I also have a certain amount of confidence in my self-worth that like I'm still worth keeping around in spite of this change.
Yes, very. It's hard. It's harder than, we would say, but I have to do it earlier today before recording this session.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, even though it was a tough conversation and leading up to it, I was like, am I making sense? Am I making sense to them? Am I making sense to myself? I was like mingling, all that. But at the end of the day, they understood. And then I was able to achieve what I wanted to do in that conversation.
Yeah.
So adulting, it feels like adulting, because I am responsible for myself.
Yeah.
No one is responsible for me. I'm not really responsible as a adult person. I don't have kids or anyone. I can't blame anybody on my actions because I decide and I commit, I make my own actions. Yeah. So it's hard to balance out what I want to do and what I can do. There's always a huge gap for me.
Yes.
So there's no rush in anything.
Yeah. So relatable. Yeah. So incredibly relatable. And you mentioned being a theater actor, and I'm so curious about what it was like for you. I mean, spoiler alert, I know it's not your first time kind of helping to create something from scratch.
Right.
But what it was like for you as someone who identifies as, a theater artist to start a nonprofit.
Yeah. So my background. So I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan. And since high school, I wanted to pursue my career as an actor, theater actor, specifically on Broadway. So I didn't really want to do theater in Japan. But when I was a high schooler, I did not speak English at all.
That's so amazing.
All. And people around me, especially my family members, okay, you don't even speak the language, but how are you so confident that you want to be there? How is that making sense?
Yeah.
It's free to dream about it, but like, how can you achieve it without being able to understand or speak the language? So I went to Toronto, Canada for a year and a half when I was 21. So I was adult, and I went to a language school. I learned English. I also worked at a restaurant for a year where I could only work and serve local people. So I'm not like surrounded by students like me, like Japanese students. So I was like, I have to put myself in an environment where I am like learning the language. Yeah. And after that, I auditioned for the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, AMDA, New York. And I got accepted and I moved to New York to go to the school back in 2016. After I graduated from the school, I was fortunate to join the first national tour of Miss Saigon, the revival. And I toured through many big cities, small cities in the United States from 2018 to up until the pandemic,
Yep.
March of 2020. And then being a theater actor in it, also being an actor who had been on tour for longer than a year.
Yeah.
When the pandemic happened and then, the tour shut down for good, not only you're losing your job, you're losing your housing as well because you're living on the road. Being on tour, you are spending a lot of time with their cast members, crew members, anyone who work for the tour, almost 24/7, right? Almost. So I consider them as my tour family, more than friends, but we all kind of disappeared to out of nowhere as our profession disappeared too.
Right.
Broadway disappeared because we could only work where there's a lot of people and there's a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
So it felt like our industry was the first one to go and the last one to come back.
Yeah.
And then I was quarantining at an Airbnb for the first 2 weeks because we thought it was going to be over in 2 weeks.
Remember that? That was so cute.
Right? It's like, I'm just going to maybe FaceTime with my friends from middle school because I haven't talked to her for
Wait, 2-week vacation.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's kind of nice to be able to reconnect with people, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't the case, obviously. So, and I was quarantining at my friend's place, other places as well. And then how I ended up in Kansas City was my best friend, who was also a cast member of the Miss Saigon tour that I was on, Jackie Wen. She decided to open a coffee shop in Kansas City. And I was quarantining that time, and I was quarantining in Texas, Waco, Texas. Woo! Woo! That was not really my favorite city to quarantine, by the way. And she asked me to move to Kansas City to help her business. And I was like, of course I will move because I had nothing else going on. And also I was really struggling that time with the idea of, like I said, our profession just didn't exist that time.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the United States just for that profession, to be an actor on Broadway or to do theater acting. And then I was like, then there's no reason for me to be in the United States right now.
Right.
And then it felt like the pandemic was not ending at all. We just didn't know. It's like, oh, well, this is how it goes now.
Yeah. This is life.
Yeah. This is life. Yeah. So I was like, what am I going to do? I was actually really trying really hard to not be an actor anymore. It's like, you know what? It doesn't exist. Let's pretend that I don't even do that.
Yeah.
I was there. I was mentally there. And then Jackie asked me to join the team, Cafe. So I was like, great. I have a reason.
Yeah, a purpose.
Yes. So I moved to Kansas City back in October 2020. And then that time it was me and Jackie, almost just two of us.
Yeah.
We started with the coffee trailer, and then we were just having fun. We had the, vision of the mission of what we wanted to do. We wanted to be something else other than a coffee shop. We want to highlight, showcase, and educate people about the Asian culture, Asian American culture as well.
Yeah.
But we were just having so much fun doing that. It was our project. It was our baby. It wasn't quite a job yet. So we were, sometimes we had barely maybe 5 customers a day.
Yeah.
And then not having experienced Kansas City winter, both of us, it was the first winter. It's like, it's so cold and nobody's here. It's like, and we don't really have a microwave. So like, how are we going to warm up our food for lunch?
Yeah.
We're like figuring out, and like, we decided to like put our sandwiches on top of the espresso machine because the espresso machine is warm already. That kind of things. It was like really fun. And then we were able to move to our first brick and mortar, the only brick and mortar, in August 2022 after, fundraising and winning the pitch competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
We were really fortunate that we had so much support and also financial support to be able to build our brick and mortar. And then after that, we met so many people, and the difference between being a theater actor and then working for Cafe, the huge difference was they are people who appreciate your existence and what you do right there in front of you. And they will actually tell you that. It's like, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do, even though we didn't even realize what we were doing. We were fun,
We're just making some coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And then theater artists, it's like there's a completely different shape of like art and beauty in theater, but you are essentially doing your art to almost to the darkness.
Yes.
There's audience, of course, audience members, and they would appreciate your work in different ways. But it was the first time for us to feel like, oh my gosh, it's like people are actually appreciating and recognizing our existence. And then doing theater, it's sometimes because it's competing. You're constantly competing against other people, against yourselves as well. And then you sometimes feel like you're really small, like you're really helpless. Sometimes not. But we were like, wow, this is so different, kind of rewarding. Like, it's a reward that we are able to experience by just continuing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then we were able to start building our community within our team, but also beyond too.
For sure.
Some regular customers who come like every Wednesday and they order the same drink and they sit at the same seat and just work, to, people who have small businesses and then they do pop-ups at Cafe.
Yeah.
And then being able to connect, okay, oh, I know this person who does, for example, graphic designing. Oh, you need a graphic designer, or you are building your t-shirt shop. Okay, let me connect you guys that. And then being able to create opportunities for people to get connected with each other, that was so much fun. And then after working at Cafe for 4 years,
Wow.
4 years from the beginning, I was like, what can I do to,
Yeah.
for my own community, which is I am a Japanese immigrant. I wouldn't say I represent a Japanese American community because I am not a American citizen. I am a permanent resident, but I'm not a citizen. And B, I didn't grow up here in the United States. So Japanese American perspective and then Japanese immigrant perspectives and experiences are pretty different.
Sure.
But what can I do for my own community? And I kept thinking about different ideas. And then that's pretty much when I met my close friend, Rumi, and her husband, Noel, as well as I was dating my partner, Chikara. So Chikara is half Mexican, half Japanese American. So Japanese Mexican American, who was born in Japan, but grew up in Mexico until he was 11. And then moved to the United States. So he has a pretty unique background.
Yeah.
And then his experience and my experience are really different. And Rumi's experience. Rumi is like kind of close to my experience, like a Japanese immigrant who made a choice of moving to the United States, not because we had to.
Right.
So we're like, to start building communities, the first thing we should do is to recognize the different experiences within the community, within the same ethnic group. Maybe it's like, I can't just call like a Japanese community because I'm Japanese. My experience is different. So hearing, his experience, my experience, Rumi's experience, it's like, wow, like but we are all Japanese at the same time. But we found out that it is hard to find Japanese people in Kansas City, even though there's actually many of us.
Oh.
And then working for Cafe and building almost like the lighthouse for the NHPI community, we were like, I think we need something like that for our community too. Yeah. Because the first Japanese person that I met in Kansas City was essentially my ex-partner and her bumped into each other at Home Depot. And then she was like, oh my God, your partner is Japanese. Let me FaceTime her. So she immediately FaceTimed me and it's like, hi, I live here in Kansas City. It's like, let's get connected. So literally we essentially just bumped into each other, right?
Wow.
At the most random place.
Home Depot, bringing people together.
I know. So, and then Rumi found me because of Cafe.
Sure.
It's like, oh, this Japanese person works here. So it's just hard the community might exist already, but it is not a findable community.
Yeah.
So we're like, how can people find our community? Of course, it's like, we can build an Instagram or anything, like website. That's easy. But like, what do we do actually? It's like, we can start. And it's like, what? Yay, we are here.
There's a website.
Yes, exactly. That's a little bit vague. So we started hosting the community events first. So we hosted the very first event that we hosted privately was Shinnenkai. It's a Japanese New Year celebration in January of 2024. And then there was already over 100 people who wanted to come to our event.
Wow.
But that day it was snowstorming. So actually like half of the people showed up, which is still wonderful. It's like, wow, thank you for coming. So by that point, like the first events that we already felt like, oh, there's a need for things that we are thinking about doing. And then we hosted a cherry blossom picnic at Loose Park, Kansas City. And then by the time we hosted the first Japanese summer festival, over 650 people showed up. And then at that point, we're like, well, we can't just do this privately. We can't just, continue pouring our, private funding to do the event, even though all of the donations are like kept in a different account and just for us to host events and stuff. So we're like, okay, are we going to become a company or are we going to do a nonprofit? And we decided to go nonprofit way. And then back in January 2025, earlier this year, we officially founded a nonprofit organization called Yukari KC. In Japanese language, we use different types of characters, alphabets, and also we also use Chinese characters as well as part of Japanese language. That character, Yukari, can be pronounced in 4 different ways. Yukari means connection. Yukari can be the connections within people or places. So for example, I lived in New York for 3-4 years. So I have Yukari with New York because I have some sort of connections with New York. So it can be connections with people, places. So if I say I have Yukari in Japan, then I might have been from there or I might have worked there, that kind of thing. So It's like a big kind of umbrella term for connection. It can be also pronounced as N. N is more like a people connection. It's still a connection.
Okay.
It really depends on the context, which one to use. And then it's also pronounced as Fuchi. Fuchi is like, it's it means edge. Kansas City is at the edge of both Missouri, the state of Missouri, and the state of Kansas. It's
Yes.
like
Okay.
shared, right? So it's like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It is also pronounced as enishi. Enishi is more like the romantic connection. So maybe we don't know.
Why not?
So that's how we started. I am really fortunate to be able to have experienced how it's like to start from scratch to 0 to 1, the creation phase.
Yeah, that first step.
Yeah. And I didn't think that I would enjoy this process before, but now that I've done it, it's like there's so much beauty in this 0 to 1 phase.
Yeah.
That you can't experience after that. And there's a different type, a different, kind of beauty from 1 to, 2, 3, 4, anything. But 0 to 1 is like the creation phase. It's like we're doing this together. That's like unexpected passion that I found for sure.
Yeah. Well, especially like actors don't get to be part of that 0 to 1 all that often. So it was like kind of foreign to you or new to you to be part of that.
And it's really interesting coming from a theater background. People would think, or I would even think, that being an actor in theater, you want to be in the spotlight or something.
Yeah.
People would think that way. I would even think that way. And then there's joy in it, for sure. Like performing on stage. I like doing it, of course.
Yeah.
I like being able to incorporate my own experience, my skills into playing a role, like movement, anything.
Yeah.
Theater is like actually magic. I get to appreciate that now, like more than before, actually.
Yeah.
Now being kind of like one step away from being fully in theater world.
Yeah.
But doing the nonprofit way, I may be one of the faces of the organization, Yukari, but what we do is to create, like I said, create opportunities for people to meet up with each other.
Yeah.
We do this part of creating opportunities, let's say like hosting an event, community event, and people show up. But the making the connection part is like, that is out of what we can do. People have to want to get connected with each other. And then once one single connection is made, it's like our job is, it's accomplished.
Yeah.
And being able to actually see that visually, that I find it so incredible and amazing that I get to contribute as well, but like witness that connection, created like right in front of me. Yeah. So regardless of what I'll be doing the next 2 years, I don't know how many years, I want to continue doing that kind of work in some, same way or different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you, me. Okay, great. Now, next one.
Yeah, it's like literally creating community.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that I love about the things that you said. I mean, I like felt myself like choke up a little bit when you were talking about Cafe and having the people of Kansas City recognize and appreciate you and Jackie for like who you are rather than like as a performer, like what you do.
Yes, exactly.
And I think especially like you were describing that when the pandemic hit and Miss Saigon, was forced to stop and you lost your job and your home, but also like you lost your identity, like your purpose and your reason for being here.
Yes, exactly what you said.
And so to move here and find not only a new purpose, but a stronger sense of identity and like who you are as a person, not a character that you're pretending to be, and to have other people see that and reflect it back to you and like thank you for it.
Yeah.
That, I mean, even like talking about it now, it chokes me up. Like that's so beautiful and like full circle for an actor who so much of our worth, kind of like you were saying before, comes from like what you can do and pushing that and saying yes. And so to be able to just be like, wow, people here see me for who I am, and like that's enough in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, how that fueled you to, correct me if this isn't like a fair way to phrase this,
Mm-hmm.
but to shift from focusing on supporting a dream that was sort of like originally Jackie's, which like a dream that you aligned with and that you supported,
Right.
and that you were like, this is important and I see the value.
Yeah.
But to be able to then kind of be like, so what is it that I dream of and that I want for myself, and to kind of create your own version of like that lighthouse that you mentioned, like be that beacon for other people who might feel the way that you do living here. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I learned so much from Jackie. Like, she is my best friend, but she's also my mentor.
Yeah.
And just working with her, working for her, and being friends with her, I think the most that I learned from her is that being unapologetically you and unapologetically taking up space is an incredible thing. It's a lot of times, from my own experience, because I am an immigrant, there's always the sense of this country is letting me live here.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little hard for me to want to take up space, because this space was not for me originally, because I am not a citizen. I have a visa, but it's a little bit different. So starting an organization, there was like a little bit of sense of like, can I do this really?
Right.
But seeing Cafe Cafe, it's like, what we do is just unapologetically ourselves. It's like, this is us. It's so colorful. And then we're like loud, kind of.
It is not like, I was going to say, it's not like every other coffee shop. It's not like any other coffee shop. Like, you know, when something, even if I see out in the wild, like out of the context of Cafe Cafe, like, you know, when someone's carrying a Cafe Cafe cup.
Right. Yes. Which is really, it's like, oh,
yes, it feels like that connection, that beacon of like, oh, I see you. We have something in common, or you're a safe person, or you support things that I also support.
Yeah. So then, I mean, that's when I was like, well, let us take up space for ourselves, you know, for our community too. Because we are essentially, our board members, we are essentially building our organization in the community because we needed that, you know.
Yes.
We wish we had that earlier.
Yeah.
When I essentially bumped into my first Japanese friend, talking in my mother tongue, Japanese, for the first time in months, it felt incredible.
I can't even imagine.
I was like, I didn't realize how much I needed that.
Yeah.
That, like, one simple thing was like, wow, I just hope that everybody has access to this when they want to. For example, I would say not every single person needs a community at the same time. When I was in New York, I had this mentality of like, well, I moved out of Japan to go to New York.
Yeah.
I shouldn't belong in the Japanese community.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be, I don't know, I wouldn't say I want to be American, but I didn't need the Japanese community at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't have the need of it. But after the pandemic happened, and then people just started slowly realizing how powerful community can be.
Yes.
And then we are completely missing the physical connections with people in general. So Cafe Cafe, I mean, we started Cafe Cafe in the really right timing, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people needed that.
Definitely.
And then, I was like, I don't want people to experience like they don't belong here, regardless of who they are. And then that's why we were like, well, let's build the community that we want first.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of other people need this. We are like, we're going to continue hosting events and then let people decide, if they want to come to the event because they miss connecting with the Japanese people or reconnecting with like Japanese culture in general through people who are there at the event, come. If they don't, that's fine. Like, we're not like chasing down people. It's like, hey, come to our event.
Right.
It's not that. Like I said earlier, like people have to want to get connected with each other.
And I think there are also different communities for different times in your life. Like when you moved to New York, you probably really immersed yourself in the theater community, which is like such a community in New York. Mm-hmm. And so maybe you didn't feel that same need for, your cultural community. But I also think that, part of the reason I wanted so desperately to have you on the podcast is I think that community is an aspect of mental health that we don't put enough stock into. I think busyness can sort of override our our awareness of the fact that we need community, and like, oh, it's easy to kind of like put off that, I don't know, that dinner with your friend or put off, oh yeah, that event sounds fun, but like, I don't have time. I'm doing other things.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't realize like truly community and connection are pillars of mental health that I think all of us have taken a major hit to since the pandemic. So many of us moved during the pandemic. I moved to Kansas City a month after you did.
Right.
And,
that's right.
Yeah. And you and Jackie were actually some of my husband and I's like first community points, because someone from New York, a friend of mine from New York, knew Jackie and was like, oh, you should check out this girl's coffee shop. And so, we were kind of like, we don't know that many people here. Right. You guys were some of our first community here. And then, I went to grad school and built some community there, but it can be really hard. And so I'm kind of curious if someone's listening to this and thinking to themselves like, well, yeah, that all sounds well and good, but like, I don't even know where to start, or, I'm not part of, Madoka's community, and maybe there isn't a group for my community or whatever. What would you encourage people to do to kind of start to prioritize their community and connections?
Community is such a big term, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then the community doesn't have to be this kind of community, like tight community. It's like, okay, Japanese community is like, not really like that. It can be something like, for example, like, okay, cafe. It's just a regular customer comes in, orders a same cup of coffee. And then the customer and us kind of know each other from, like, oh, this person knows my order.
Yeah.
And then that becomes just a habit. That can be a start, some tiny start of a community too. It's like knowing and having kind of comfort in knowing this person, knowing this place. That is like the start of a community. It can be something like if you are a book lover and then you have, let's say you go to a coffee shop again, and then this barista loves the same kind of book. And then you're like, oh, if you like this kind of book, I suggest this book here, like read it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, oh, well, that barista also likes that book, that kind of things. So the community starts from really tiny thing. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be 600 people event,
right.
Last year. So finding ourselves, it's like, the people, it's like, oh, the tiny connection like you have. And then friends is a community too. Like even just one friend.
Yeah.
Community. And then that becomes maybe bigger, might be staying like that. And then maybe grocery store too. It's like, well, this person and that person likes the same thing. It's like, oh, here, I wanted to buy 4 cans of, I don't know, chili. And then like, if you want it, okay, great. You have that. Like, oh, you like the same thing, Yeah. It doesn't have to be like your friendship starts from that. I am certainly, it's like, I come off extroverted, but I'm actually introverted.
Yeah.
So I need a lot of alone time for me to be able to charge my own battery. So you don't have to make friends with strangers all the time.
Okay. So many things. First, what I'm hearing you say is that community starts with connection. So community, yeah, maybe sounds like it's a big group of people, but it starts with a connection with one person. And that connection doesn't have to be sparks flying or, lightning strikes. It can be just this moment of genuine connection of like, oh yeah, like I love that same chili at the grocery store. And like that can literally be it. That could be the end of that connection.
That can be.
But it's still connection, and it fosters a sense of belonging and community. Yeah. And so I like this idea that it's almost sort of a lens or a mindset of like, okay, I go to this coffee shop once a week and I always just say to the barista, oh yeah, like a drip coffee with oat milk. Thank you. And I pay and I leave. Today, could I say drip coffee with oat milk and also say, like you guys always do such a great job here and I really love it. Or, your t-shirt's amazing. Or did you get a haircut since last time I saw you? How could I foster like 1% more connection than I did the last time that I was here?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be huge.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't have to come from you. It might be that barista saying, oh, I like your shirt. Where did you buy it? You know what? My friend's vintage store. You should check it out.
Yeah.
A kind of tiny connection like that. There was such a light bulb moment when I heard from my coworker from Cafe said, community is where I heal. And I was like, that is such a theme. That became such a theme for me.
Yeah.
Because I healed a certain part of me when I spoke Japanese for the first time in months with this friend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which part of me that healed, but certainly I felt so much better after that. Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that that can be, communities where people heal. That can be a case for so many people with or without them realizing. So that's why I want to at least offer the opportunities for them to find their own community, which is a Japanese community in my case with my organization, so that they can create their own community as well. Okay, like my goal is for us to see this person and that person getting connected, and they exchange their numbers, and they are like having dinner like a week later, and I see that, like, I don't know, Instagram story or something. It's like, oh my gosh, they got connected. And then the connection will go on and on and on after that.
Yes.
Like, the opportunities. So that's like what we want to continue doing for sure.
Right. Yeah. And that, like, again, this idea that different communities will heal different parts of yourself, and that also two people may use the same community differently. Like you said, speaking to someone in Japanese, like, healed a part of yourself, but maybe for someone else in that same community, having a safe person to practice English with is what is healing for them. And it's like the same community, but different outcomes or ways of healing from it.
Yeah. And for a person like my partner, Chico, he goes by Chico. For Chico, he didn't have access to Japanese culture growing up.
Yeah.
But people call him part Japanese, even though he didn't know what being Japanese meant for him, right?
Right.
And then he didn't have friends who were, part Japanese or like had, similar experience.
Right.
So for people like him, I hope to be able to offer this opportunity again to meet up with each other. And it's like, hey, I am half Japanese too. Oh, hey, I'm quarter Japanese too, but I didn't grow up with being able to speak the language, having access to the food, shows, anything.
Yeah.
But just meeting people like them, even if they have different backgrounds and then the experiences too, but like, oh, you're half Japanese too. Let's, like, talk about our experiences.
Yeah.
And then we're also hoping to, for people like them meeting up with each other, they can have now access to reconnecting themselves to the Japanese side of their roots.
Right.
By maybe meeting people like us who was born and raised there. And it's like, what do you want to know about Japanese culture that you didn't really, feel you didn't really belong to growing up.
Right.
Like, what do you want to know? So creating opportunities can be like that too. So it's like it goes like a longer way than we probably even realize.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
in ways you probably can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot going on as always. And so I'm curious, what are you going to do before your next session?
So I talked about it a little bit, at the beginning of the session. We are Yukari KC, our nonprofit organization for the Japanese community. We are hosting the second annual Japanese Summer Festival at the Merriam Marketplace on August 31st from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we are actually having a board meetings after this. That's literally what I'm doing right after this session. And then, speaking out loud about what I do and what I like doing, it makes me feel like, you know what, I really do want to continue doing this.
Yeah.
There are a lot of hard things too, difficult things too. It's like, I want to do this, but it's like, there's so many aspects. So for example, like event planning, we have to talk about budget. We have to talk about what people can do, what people can't do, even though this is what we want, that kind of thing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it all comes down to, I want to do it for me, for the community, for people who want it. It's doing this is good for my mental health too. Hard, but good for my mental health.
Absolutely. It can be both.
Yeah, it can be both. Things can be both at the same time. Anything you can't, it is not always black or white thing.
It's usually not. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be rainbow.
Yes. Madoka, thank you so much for being on In Between Sessions. This was such a beautiful conversation, and I just so admire how grounded you are in purpose and creativity always. And yeah, just that bravery and willingness to put yourself out there and make those connections and build that community. I admire that about you so much. And I'm so excited for you that you have created this. I'm so excited for everyone who gets to benefit from what you've created. And yeah, just thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily, for doing this.
I'm so grateful to Madoka for sharing her story with us and for reminding us that our identities are allowed to be fluid and evolving. Whether she's building community through Yukari KC or sharing her voice on stage, Madoka brings a deep sense of care and presence to everything she does, and it was a gift to get to talk with her about that process. If this conversation resonated with you, I hope you'll share this episode with a friend or loved one, and maybe even check out one of Yukari KC's events if you're local to Kansas City. Their Japanese Summer Festival is coming up on August 31st, and I'm linking all of the information you need in the show notes. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time in Between Sessions.